Most traders believe failure happens because they didn't find the right strategy. They believe it's the indicators, the entries, the exits, the timing, or the market itself. But that belief is the very reason they never reach consistency. The truth is uncomfortable, and that's why it's often skipped. Most traders fail not because they do too little, but because they skip the one thing that makes everything else work. They skip internal alignment. They skip understanding that trading is not about predicting what will happen next. It's about accepting that anything can happen next. The market does not punish traders. The market does not reward traders. The market simply offers opportunities. And the trader's state of mind determines whether those opportunities can be executed without distortion. From the very beginning, traders are taught to search externally. Search for the perfect setup, search for confirmation, search for certainty. But markets do not offer certainty, they offer probabilities. And when a trader enters a probabilistic environment with a deterministic mindset, emotional conflict becomes inevitable. This is where failure begins. Not with losses, but with resistance to losses. Not with fear, but with the refusal to accept uncertainty as a permanent condition. Most traders skip learning how to think in probabilities before they put real money at risk. They skip learning how to define risk in a way that removes emotional significance from outcomes. They skip the work of building a belief system that allows them to stay present, focused, and disciplined, regardless of what just happened. Instead, they react. They react to wins with overconfidence. They react to losses with self-doubt. They react to randomness as if it were personal. And once the mind becomes reactive, consistency is impossible. No matter how good the strategy looks on paper, the market becomes a mirror. Every fear, every unresolved belief, every need to be right gets reflected back through price movement. And most traders don't realize this because they are too busy trying to control what cannot be controlled. They try to control outcomes. They try to control the market. They try to control uncertainty. But the one thing they never learn to control is themselves. That is what gets skipped. The disciplined execution of an edge is not a technical problem, it is a psychological one. Following rules is easy only when there is no emotional attachment to the result. And emotional attachment disappears only when risk is fully accepted before the trade is placed. Not intellectually accepted, not logically understood, but emotionally integrated. Until a trader reaches that point, every trade carries hidden expectations, and expectations turn probability into pressure. Pressure leads to hesitation. Hesitation leads to missed trades or impulsive trades, and impulsive behavior destroys trust, not in the market, but in oneself. Most traders never fail because they lack talent. They fail because they never build the internal structure required to operate in uncertainty without fear. They skip learning how to be neutral. They skip learning how to detach self-worth from outcomes. They skip learning how to let the market express itself without interference. And until that skill is developed, the market will always feel difficult, unfair, and unpredictable. But once that missing piece is addressed, once the trader stops trying to win and starts focusing on flawless execution, everything changes. Not because the market changed, but because the trader did. Consistency is not something that magically appears after a series of winning trades. It is not a reward the market gives you once you prove yourself. Consistency is built long before the order is ever placed, long before the candle closes, long before profit or loss exists. Most traders misunderstand this, and that misunderstanding quietly destroys their potential. The market is not a place where effort is directly rewarded. It is a place where preparedness meets uncertainty, and uncertainty does not care how confident you feel, how much analysis you've done, or how badly you want the trade to work. The market will do whatever it is going to do. Consistency, therefore, cannot come from trying to control outcomes. It can only come from controlling yourself before you expose your capital to that uncertainty. Every trade begins in the mind, not on the chart. Before price moves, before volatility expands, before the result exists, there is a moment where a trader decides how they will relate to risk. That moment determines everything that follows. If risk is fully accepted in advance, the trade unfolds cleanly. If risk is resisted, feared, or negotiated with internally, the trade becomes emotionally charged. And once emotion enters the process, consistency leaves. Most traders think consistency is about repeating the same strategy over and over, but repetition without internal alignment only creates repeated mistakes. You can execute the same setup 100 times, but if each trade carries hope, fear, or the need to be right, the execution will never be the same. The rules may look identical on paper, but the mental state behind them is constantly changing. Consistency is a state of mind. It is the ability to see the market as a series of opportunities, not as a judge of your intelligence or worth. That perspective must be built before the trade, not after you see whether you were right or wrong. Once the result appears, it's already too late to correct the mindset that produced it. The reason most traders chase results is because they believe results validate them. A win feels like confirmation. A loss feels like rejection. But the market is not offering feedback on who you are. It is simply expressing probabilities. When a trader interprets random outcomes personally, emotional instability becomes inevitable. Before the trade, the disciplined trader asks only one question: have I defined the risk clearly enough that I am completely at peace with losing it? If the answer is no, the trade should not be taken. Not because the setup is bad, but because the trader is not ready. Readiness has nothing to do with confidence in winning and everything to do with acceptance of losing. This is where consistency is actually built, in the acceptance of loss as a normal, expected cost of doing business, not as failure, not as punishment, but as information and expense. When loss is emotionally neutral, the trader no longer needs the market to behave a certain way. And when there is no need, there is no pressure. Pressure is the silent destroyer of consistency. Pressure creates hesitation, and hesitation breaks rules. Pressure creates impulsive action, and impulsive action erodes trust. And once a trader loses trust in their own ability to execute, they begin to second-guess everything. The market becomes confusing, even when nothing has changed. Consistency requires that the trader operate from a place of certainty about their process, not about the outcome. The outcome is unknowable. The process is not. When a trader confuses these two, they try to extract certainty from the market instead of from their preparation. That effort always fails. Before the trade, consistent traders have already decided who they will be, regardless of what happens next. They have decided to follow their rules. They have decided how much they are willing to lose. They have decided that T result will not define them. This decision removes emotional weight from the trade and allows execution to be effortless. Most traders skip this step. They enter trades with vague risk, undefined expectations, and unconscious hopes. Then they are surprised when emotions take over. But emotions don't appear randomly. They are the result of unexamined beliefs. Beliefs about money, loss, control, and being right operate beneath the surface, shaping behavior without permission. If a trader believes that losing is bad, they will unconsciously avoid losses by moving stops, exiting early, or not taking valid trades. If a trader believes winning proves skill, they will overtrade after success. In both cases, consistency is impossible because behavior is being driven by emotion instead of structure. The market does not demand perfection. It demands discipline. And discipline is not willpower. It is alignment. When beliefs align with the reality of probabilities, discipline becomes natural. When beliefs conflict with uncertainty, discipline feels forced and fragile. Before the trade, consistent traders rehearse acceptance. They accept that this trade may fail. They accept that a series of losses can occur even with a valid edge. They accept that nothing about the next outcome is personal. This acceptance frees the mind from needing control and allows attention to remain in the present moment. Presence is another element built before the trade. A distracted, outcome-focused mind cannot see opportunity clearly. It sees threats instead. It anticipates pain instead of observing information. The market becomes something to survive rather than something to participate in. When presence is lost, traders start managing trades emotionally instead of mechanically. They watch every tick. They interpret noise as meaning. They exit too soon or hold too long, not because the market told them to, but because discomfort demanded relief. Consistency requires comfort with discomfort. That comfort is not developed after the trade. It is developed before. It is built through deliberate exposure to uncertainty with controlled risk. Each properly executed trade reinforces the belief that following the process is more important than the outcome. Over time, this creates confidence. Not confidence in winning, confidence in execution. And execution-based confidence is stable because it does not depend on external validation. It comes from knowing you did exactly what you said you would do, regardless of the result. This is why reviewing trades solely based on profit and loss is misleading. A winning trade taken impulsively damages consistency. A losing trade taken according to plan strengthens it. Most traders reverse this logic and unknowingly train themselves to repeat bad behavior. Before the trade, consistent traders focus on clarity. Clarity about their edge. Clarity about their risk. Clarity about their emotional state. If clarity is missing, the trade is skipped. Skipping trades is not weakness. It is strength. It is evidence of self-trust. Self-trust is the foundation of consistency. Without it, every decision feels heavy. With it, decisions are simple. Self-trust grows when actions align with intentions, and that alignment must occur before the trade, not after the result confirms or denies it. The market offers infinite opportunities, but consistency requires selectivity. Selectivity is impossible when fear of missing out dominates the mind. That fear arises when traders believe opportunities are scarce. In reality, the only scarce resource is emotional capital. Before the trade, consistent traders protect their emotional capital by trading only when conditions align internally and externally. They understand that no single trade matters, but their state of mind always does. Eventually, consistency stops feeling like effort. It becomes an identity. The trader no longer tries to be disciplined. They simply are. Not because the market became easier, but because their relationship with uncertainty matured. Consistency is not built by analyzing the last trade. It is built by preparing for the next one. It is built in the moments of restraint, acceptance, and clarity that happen before risk is taken. Belief alignment matters more than market knowledge because trading is not a problem of information, it is a problem of interpretation. The market can only present data. What you do with that data is entirely determined by what you believe to be true about money, risk, loss, and uncertainty. Two traders can look at the same chart, the same setup, the same conditions, and experience completely different outcomes, not because the market changed, but because their beliefs filtered the experience differently. Most traders believe that if they just learn more, another strategy, another indicator, another confirmation, consistency will eventually appear. This belief feels logical, but it hides a deeper misunderstanding. Knowledge does not create discipline. Knowledge does not eliminate fear. Knowledge does not prevent hesitation or impulsive behavior. Beliefs do. Beliefs operate automatically. They do not ask for permission. They define what feels safe, what feels dangerous, what feels acceptable, and what feels intolerable. And in trading, every decision is made under uncertainty. If your beliefs are not aligned with that reality, the mind will attempt to protect you. Not your account, but your emotional comfort. This is where most traders unknowingly sabotage themselves. If a trader believes that being wrong is bad, losses will feel threatening. If losses feel threatening, the trader will avoid. That avoidance shows up as moving stops, exiting early, skipping valid trades, or hesitating at the point of execution. None of these behaviors come from lack of knowledge. They come from belief conflict. The market does not require you to be right. It requires you to act consistently within probabilities. But if you believe that correctness equals competence, every trade becomes a test of self-worth, and once trading becomes personal, clarity disappears. Market knowledge can tell you where price has been. It can tell you patterns, tendencies, and statistics, but it cannot prepare you emotionally for randomness. It cannot teach your nervous system how to remain calm when uncertainty expresses itself as loss. Only belief alignment can do that. Aligned beliefs accept uncertainty as permanent. Misaligned beliefs search for certainty in a place where it does not exist. This search creates tension. That tension demands resolution, and the trader resolves it through action, often the wrong action. When beliefs align with the probabilistic nature of the market, the trader no longer needs the market to behave a certain way. There is no need for hope. There is no fear of loss. There is only execution. This is not indifference. It is emotional neutrality. Emotional neutrality is not something you decide in the moment. It is the result of beliefs that have already accepted the full range of possible outcomes. Without that acceptance, the mind remains reactive. Most traders believe they accept risk, but acceptance is not intellectual. Saying, "I know I can lose," is not the same as being emotionally at peace with losing. True acceptance means that if the loss happens, there is no surprise, no frustration, no internal argument. The mind simply registers information and moves on. That level of acceptance can only exist when beliefs are aligned with reality. A trader see and memorize every market principle and still fail if they secretly believe that the market should reward effort, intelligence, or patience. The market does not recognize any of those things. It only expresses probabilities. When reality violates belief, emotional pain follows, and the trader reacts to that pain. Beliefs about control are especially destructive. Many traders believe that if they analyze deeply enough, they can control outcomes. This belief turns analysis into a form of emotional insurance. When the trade loses, the belief collapses, and the trader feels betrayed, not by the market, but by their expectation of control. This leads to overanalysis, second-guessing, and constant system changes. Not because the edge disappeared, but because belief alignment never existed in the first place. Aligned traders understand that an edge does not guarantee success on any single trade. It only guarantees favorable probabilities over a series of trades. This understanding is not comforting to the ego, but it is stabilizing to behavior. It removes urgency, it removes pressure, it removes the need to force outcomes. Without belief alignment, traders unconsciously assign meaning to random results. A losing streak becomes proof of incompetence. A winning streak becomes proof of mastery. Both interpretations are false, and both distort behavior. Belief alignment keeps interpretation neutral. A win is just a win. A loss is just a loss. Neither expands nor contracts identity. This neutrality allows consistency to emerge naturally. The market continuously tests belief systems. It exposes hidden expectations. It reveals where acceptance is incomplete. When a trader feels emotional discomfort, it is not because the market did something wrong. It is because a belief was challenged. Most traders respond by trying to fix the market. Aligned traders fix the belief, belie. Asks about scarcity also play a critical role. If a trader believes opportunities are rare, fear of missing out dominates decision-making. This fear leads to chasing trades, entering late, or taking marginal setups. Knowledge cannot override this behavior. Only a belief that opportunities are abundant can. When a trader truly believes that there will always be another trade, patience becomes effortless. Waiting no longer feels like loss, it feels like discipline. That shift does not come from charts, it comes from belief. Beliefs about money itself can also sabotage consistency. If money represents security, validation, or freedom, every trade carries emotional weight. The outcome becomes important beyond its actual financial impact. That importance distorts perception and timing. Aligned traders see money as a tool, not a symbol. Risk becomes a business expense, not a threat. This perspective cannot be taught through indicators. It must be integrated internally. Market knowledge is external. Belief alignment is internal. External knowledge can be acquired quickly. Internal alignment takes awareness, honesty, and deliberate conditioning. That is why most traders avoid it. It requires confronting uncomfortable truths about fear, control, and self-image. But without this work, knowledge becomes useless. Worse, it becomes dangerous. The more knowledge a misaligned trader has, the more justification they can find for emotionally driven decisions. Belief alignment simplifies trading. It removes noise. It removes the internal debate. Decisions become clear because they are not filtered through fear or hope. Aligned beliefs create trust, not in the market but in oneself. Trust that rules will be followed. Trust that losses will be handled properly. Trust that consistency does not require perfection. When belief alignment is achieved, the trader no longer seeks certa, intai. They seek execution. They no longer try to predict. They prepare. They no longer fear loss. They manage it. This is why belief alignment matters more than market knowledge. Knowledge can show you what to do. Beliefs determine whether you can actually do it. Until beliefs align with the true nature of trading, the market will always feel difficult, unpredictable, and emotionally exhausting. Once they align, the same market becomes simple, neutral, and manageable. Nothing about price changes. Everything about the trader does. Emotional neutrality is the missing skill because trading is the only performance environment where uncertainty is constant and feedback is immediate. Every decision is followed by a result that can either reward or punish, and that result arrives without explanation. In such an environment, emotion is not just natural, it is guaranteed. The problem is not that traders feel emotion. The problem is that they trade from it. Most traders believe emotions must be controlled, suppressed, or eliminated. This belief creates an internal battle that can never be won. Emotions are automatic responses generated by beliefs. They arise before conscious thought and cannot be reasoned away in the moment. When a trader tries to fight emotion during a trade, attention shifts away from execution and toward internal conflict. Consistency disappears instantly. Emotional neutrality is not the absence of emotion. It is the absence of emotional influence over decision-making. It is the ability to allow emotions to exist, without allowing them to dictate behavior. This skill is rarely taught because it cannot be measured on a chart or coded into a strategy. Yet without it, no strategy can be executed consistently. The market constantly creates emotional triggers. Price moves against a position and fear appears. Price moves in favor and greed emerges. A series of losses produces doubt. A series of wins creates overconfidence. These reactions are not flaws. They are normal human responses to uncertainty and risk. The flaw lies in acting on them. When emotions drive decisions, behavior becomes inconsistent. Rules are bent or abandoned. Stops are moved, profits are taken too early, losses are allowed to grow, trades are skipped or chased. None of this happens because the trader lacks knowledge. It happens because emotional discomfort demands relief. The human brain is wired to avoid pain and seek pleasure. In trading, this wiring is in direct conflict with profitability. Profitable behavior often feels uncomfortable. It requires sitting with uncertainty, taking losses without resistance, and waiting without action. Without emotional neutrality, these experiences feel intolerable. Emotional neutrality begins with acceptance, not of outcomes, but of uncertainty itself. Most traders accept uncertainty intellectually, but reject it emotionally. They say they know anything can happen, yet they are surprised and frustrated when it does. This contradiction creates emotional instability. True acceptance means there is no internal argument when a loss occurs. No shock, no anger, no need to explain or justify. The mind simply registers the outcome and prepares for the next opportunity. This response is not passive. It is grounded and disciplined. Without emotional neutrality, every trade carries hidden expectations. Expectations turn probability into pressure. Pressure narrows perception and speeds decision-making. The trader becomes reactive instead of responsive. In that state, even the best strategy fails. Neutrality allows perception to remain open. The trader can see what is actually happening rather than what they fear or hope will happen. This clarity is essential because markets are subtle. Small changes in behavior, company, and text, or volatility matter. Emotional noise drowns out that information. Many traders believe confidence is the solution to emotional instability. But confidence built on outcomes is fragile. One losing streak can destroy it. Emotional neutrality does not require confidence in winning. It requires confidence in process. That confidence is stable because it does not depend on results. When a trader is emotionally neutral, wins do not create excitement and losses do not create despair. Both are treated as normal expressions of probability. This does not mean the trader does not care. It means they care about the right thing: execution. Execution without emotional interference is rare because most people are conditioned to attach meaning to results. From early life, success is praised and failure is criticized. This conditioning follows traders into the market, where it becomes destructive. The market does not operate on moral principles. It does not reward effort or punish mistakes. It simply moves. Emotional neutrality requires separating self-worth from outcomes. Until this separation occurs, trading will always feel personal. And when trading feels personal, objectivity is impossible. The market often feels unpredictable not because it is chaotic, but because emotion distorts perception. Fear magnifies risk. Greed magnifies opportunity. Neutrality restores proportion. It allows the trader to see risk as defined and opportunity as conditional. This skill must be developed before trading, not during. Once money is at risk, the emotional system is already activated. Trying to become neutral in the heat of the moment is like trying to learn to swim while drowning. Preparation must come first. Preparation includes defining risk so clearly that loss carries no emotional surprise. It includes accepting in advance that any single trade is meaningless. It includes rehearsing the possibility of failure until it no longer triggers fear. These practices condition the mind to remain stable under pressure. Without emotional neutrality, traders seek comfort. Comfort comes from avoiding losses, taking quick profits, or overanalyzing. These behaviors feel good in the moment, but destroy long-term consistency. Neutral traders seek alignment, not comfort. Neutrality also allows patience. Waiting is emotionally difficult because it creates uncertainty without action. Many traders enter trades simply to relieve that discomfort. When neutral, waiting is effortless. There is no urgency because there is no fear of missing out. Fear of missing out is a sign of emotional attachment to opportunity. It arises from the belief that opportunities are scarce. Neutral traders know that opportunity is abundant, but discipline is not. This belief changes behavior instantly. Over time, emotional neutrality creates resilience. Losing streaks no longer cause emotional spirals. Winning streaks no longer inflate ego. Performance stabilizes. Decision quality remains consistent across different market conditions. This stability is often mistaken for detachment or lack of passion. In reality, it is mastery. Professional performance in any field requires emotional regulation. Trading is no different. It is simply less forgiving. Neutrality does not make trading boring, it makes it sustainable. It allows the trader to operate without exhaustion, frustration, or burnout. Energy is conserved for analysis and preparation rather than emotional recovery. Many traders search for the missing indicator or system. Few realize the missing skill is internal. Emotional neutrality cannot be downloaded or purchased. It must be cultivated through awareness, repetition, and acceptance. When emotional neutrality is present, discipline is no longer forced. Rules are followed. Naturally, because there is no emotional reason to break them. The trader no longer fights the market or themselves. They participate. This is why emotional neutrality is the missing skill. Without it, every trade is a battle. With it, trading becomes a process. Clear, calm, and consistent. The market does not change. The emotions do not disappear, but the trader is no longer controlled by them. Most traders never fail because the market is difficult. They fail because they never build the internal structure required to operate within uncertainty. Consistency, belief alignment, and emotional neutrality are not optional skills. They are the foundation of professional trading. When risk is accepted, beliefs align with probability, and emotions no longer control decisions, execution becomes effortless. The market stops feeling hostile and starts feeling neutral. Nothing about price needs to change. The transformation happens entirely within the trader, and once that shift occurs, consistency is no longer something chased. It becomes inevitable.